We just thank you for who you are in our lives, God. We thank you for being our King, our Lord, God. We thank you for being our Master. God, it's time for a word from you. I surrender my mind, my heart, and my soul unto thee. You have it, Father God. My thoughts belong to you. This message belongs to you. I surrender my will unto you. You have your way. You're the master. You're my Adonai. As Paul would say, I'm a servant of you, a prisoner of the Lord. Have your way, Master. It's in your Son, Jesus Christ's name that we pray. Amen, amen, and amen. So on Wednesday morning, as we have been saying, we have been holding these intercessory prayer sessions. We've been praying for our city, our state, our nation, and the world. We firmly believe that we can make a difference on the war against coronavirus by petitioning God, who has all power in his hands. And we believe that our prayers are working, that curve is bending, that the numbers are not as high as we thought they were, but they're still too high. So we continue to pray, and we continue to petition the Father with the expectation that God is going to come through and he's going to wipe this thing out in one way or the other. So after we finished with our prayer on Wednesday, I did my morning routine. I jumped on the internet and I went to CNN. When I got on CNN, I saw this article talking about somebody had lost their life. And there was a video associated with it that they said had went viral. So I clicked on the button. I began to watch the video. I got frustrated. I got angry. Tears started welling up on the inside of my eyes. I was disappointed. And I was also bewildered. I was angry because it's happened again. Another black man lost his life while in custody of the police. Why do we continue to find ourselves right here at the same spot over and over and over again? And this one really upset me, Danielle. Because the way in which he lost his life was just senseless. I mean, it looked like the officer had no regard for human life. I mean, he's sitting there with his knee on the man's neck, and the man is screaming, "I can't breathe. My stomach hurts. My body is hurting all over." You already have him handcuffed. And the officer is sitting there with his knee on his neck, his hands in his pockets. And you can see how he continues to press down. The man screams out, and you can see his weight begin to shift forward. So as I looked at that all kinds of anger began to go crazy on the inside of me. And I got frustrated. But I was bewildered because I keep wondering, why do we keep finding ourselves in these same predicaments? What is it about us as humans that we can't figure out a way to interact with one another and get along with one another and extend grace and mercy and love to one another, and to see each other as the creatures that God has created us to be? Why did that man have to lose his life? Even if he did commit forgery, was it really worth losing his life? Could they have sorted that stuff out back in the police office? So as I sat there and I read the various different things and I pondered over this thing, that part of me that loves to help began to rise up. And I began to think about, what can I do to help? How can I impact this situation? What can we do as a church? What can I do as an individual? A pastor, a husband, a father, a community member. What can I do to make a change? To where no other family has to go through this same thing. I mean, we just finished with Aubrey. We haven't even finished with it, if you want to be honest. Aubrey is still going on. Breonna Taylor is still going on. We haven't forgotten about the Ferguson stuff. All these things keep happening. So, my mindset is, what can we do so we can stop finding ourselves in the same situation over and over and over again? So I pondered it. I meditated on it. Wednesday night we had our Bible study. If you missed it, we had a great time. And after Bible study, we had the after party, which just turned out to be where we just sit around and we just hang out and we began to talk. And me and the guys began to just talk about what happened. And like me, they were just as angry and frustrated and tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over again. So continue to think about it. The next day, which would have been Thursday, I teach a young adult Bible study. So when our young adult Bible study, we opened it up with talking about that situation. And they were just as angry and frustrated and just needed to vent. Just let some of that anger out and share how they felt about the situation. I'm still thinking, what can I do? How can I make a difference? I'm tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So what can I, Herbert Wallace Jr., do? Grab my phone Friday night, jump on the Facebook, kind of see what's going on in the world. And as I'm scrolling, I see all of these posts about the things going on in the various different cities. And I see a post from CBS News here, the local news channel here in Charlotte. And they're showing all the various activities taking place over there on Bakersford Road. And they're showing the peaceful part of the protest. Then they showed where the peaceful protest turned to violence and rioting. I saw where some Target, probably wasn't here somewhere, or some Target was raided and they were just stealing all the stuff out of the Target. You're throwing bottles at the police, people setting buildings on fire, people setting cars on fire. And once again, that anger began to rise up on the inside of me. Why are we destroying our own communities? This is where we live. This is a place where we have nurtured our children. Our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents fought for the right to stay in these communities. Our heritage and our tradition flows from these communities. And we're setting them on fire. We're looting. I mean, like, how is looting really going to help the situation? I understand. I'm hurting, I'm mad, I'm venting, I'm letting all this stuff out. But how in the world is looting going to assist us in where we're trying to go? So, I'm looking at it and I'm mad and I'm angry. But in my heart, I gotta do something. I just can't sit back and wait for this to blow over, for something else to happen, and the next news cycle rises up and washes this away. I gotta make a difference. Because get this. Let me know if you agree. Hit the button if you agree with this statement here. Doing nothing is just as bad as looting. For us to sit in our homes, watch it on TV, make a few comments on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but never take any positive action that would lead to the alleviation of this, is just as bad as looting. Because me sitting in my home on my hands thinking it would never happen to me is me being complacent. That is us saying it's not bothering me right now, so I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to let them take care of it. I'm going to let somebody else fight my battle. I'm going to let somebody else take the risk. I'm going to let somebody else speak for me. They might not be saying what I'm saying, but they look like me, and other people think they're speaking for me, so I'm just going to let them speak for me. I'm just going to stay home. I stay in the suburbs, Huntersville, Matthews, Mint Hill. I'm in University. I'm nowhere near that Bakersfield corridor, so it's not going to bother me, so I'm just going to stay at home. My children are grown and gone, so I'm not really worried about them. They're no longer in that age category. That young man was 48 who lost his life. He wasn't a young teen. He wasn't a so-called thug, a so-called gangbanger. He was 48 years old. That could have been me. I'm 50. That could have been you. That could have been your husband, your father, your brother. And for us to sit back and do nothing, it's not acceptable. Think about what the great Apostle Paul said. Look at this a few weeks ago. He says, we have been saved by grace through faith. And this is not of ourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man shall boast. Look at what it says in verse 10. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. Paul is saying that we have not been saved to sit on our hands, to sit in our pews and do nothing. But we have been saved for good works, which he preordained before the beginning of the earth. Mordecai told Esther, you can sit in your palace all you want to and think that you can just get by, that they won't bother you because you are the queen. But don't forget who you are. Mordecai said, you are a Jew, just like us. And when they learn that you are a Jew, just like us, they're going to come for you, just like they're coming for us. So if you don't rise up, God will get somebody else. But could it be that he's made you a queen, placed you in a position of prominence, placed you in a position of power, for just a time as this? Maybe God has given you some influence for such a time as this. That gift of connecting with people from various walks of life. Could it be God has given you that gift and that talent for just a time as this? The ability to communicate. Tough skin. You name your gift, your talent. Could it be that God has given you this gift for such a time as this? And will you respond like Esther? But Esther says, everybody go fast for 3 days. And at the end of the 3 days, I shall come before the king. And if I perish, I perish. We can't afford to sit back any longer and just hope things go away. And just hope things get better. Sitting back and doing nothing. Sitting back in our comfortable jobs is not acceptable. You and I have to get involved. Inaction is just as bad as the looting. So here comes the question. What do we do? And it's the question that I continue to ponder over and over and over again. What can I do? What are some tangible things that not only I can do, but we as a church can do, and you as an individual can do? And as I began to ponder this, Andre, my mind began to think about what is the issue? What's the, to use a project management term, what's the scope? What's the target that we're going after? Because if you don't know what the issue is, you cannot resolve the issue. If husbands and wives don't know what the issue is that's causing them the division, they can't resolve the issue. If employer and employee don't understand the issue, if they think that they have two different visions of what the actual issue is, then we'll never resolve the issue. So I think, what's the issue? And the normal stuff began to rise up on the inside of me. I'm tired of seeing black men black men lose their lives at the hands of the police. Me personally, you type yours in there. You type yours. I'm going to tell you mine. I'm tired of being afraid to run in certain neighborhoods at certain times of the day. Because I think if something happens in that particular neighborhood, the first person that's going to get blamed is me, the black man. I'm tired. And I despise having to tell my sons that if you will find yourself driving a car, and as you're driving, you get pulled over, or you're in a car with me and we get pulled over, put your hands on the steering wheel and say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to the officer. Even if you're not wrong, put your hands on the steering wheel. We'll take care of it later. Why do we as black men have to tell our children? Just tired. I don't know about you guys. I'm just tired of the same old stuff. You want to be able to go to the store and buy something and look around and go from spot to spot and take your time without some guy walking by you 2 or 3 times. You know, he ain't shopping. He just finds his way walking by you in the store, making sure you ain't doing anything you have no business doing. So what's the target? What's the issue? While those things anger me to no end, frustrate me, downright demeaning towards me, I don't think those are the real issue. Those things are the symptoms. Listen to me, hear me out. Those things, we live in a country to where we medicate everything. You go to the doctor, your head hurts, they give you some medication. Your arm hurts, medication. Your stomach hurts, ask you a few questions, they give you some medication. We have the issue going on in our lives, and some of us self-medicate. We grab a bottle and we self-medicate. We grab our drug of choice and we self-medicate. We don't feel appreciated, like nobody loves us, nobody really cares about us. And we begin to give our bodies away. We self-medicate. Maybe he'll love me if I give him my body. We go out and we commit violence. Nobody likes me. Nobody's paying me any attention. I'll just go and I'll randomly shoot a number of people and I'll get all the attention I was wanting. Self-medicated. And in a way, we're doing some of that when it comes to this racial reconciliation. Self-medicated. Yes, the issue is we don't want to see another black man lose his life in the hands of a police. But that's a broad target. I mean, that's not a singular target that we can actually move towards and get. And think about that. Think back to the 50s and the 60s, they had targets on their board that they were going after. They had something specific that they were going after. They went after the voting rights issue. They went after the Jim Crow laws. They went after the separate but equal stuff. They went after school integration. They went after equal pay with the worker sanitation movement. Those were things that said, this is the issue. Let us pool our resources together. Let us march. Let us do what we need to do to make sure we bring attention to this issue and push the powers that be to make some changes. So what's the issue now? I think there's tons of issues. I just want to put one in your spirit for today. And it's inherent biases. And by inherent biases, I'm talking about that stuff that lives on the inside of each and every one of us. White people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Indian people, Chinese people. We all have these inherent biases. That when we look at people and we look at situations, we see certain things. And we judge them according to what we see. Because you grew up on the west side, you must act a certain way. Because you grew up on the south side of town, you must be this type of a person. Because you are a Republican, you must believe in this type of stuff. Because you are a Democrat, you must believe in this type of stuff. Because you're from the South, you act this way. And we look at people and we size them up. And we instinctively act certain ways towards them because of that. We look at Hispanics and we say all the jobs they can do is the low-level jobs. But then we turn right around and we look at an Asian and we say, oh, he must be smart in math because he's Asian. We see a tall, slender brother with some basketball skills and say he must be limited to only that. That the only thing he can do is shoot a ball. That he does not have a brain as well. We're putting people in these categories, in these boxes. And instinctively we react and treat them certain ways. Our police officers have inherent biases. Just like you and I, from a child, they've seen things and they've heard about things. And when it comes to black men, they've heard about black men. And they've watched the movies on TV. And every time they see the movie on TV, and it's one of them gangster movies, who's the gangster? The black man. Who's the drug dealer? The black man. Who stand up pointing at the camera? All that? It's the black man. That stuff is on the inside of them. They join the force to protect and serve, to make a difference. And they get out here, they see all kinds of stuff. Good and bad. That stuff gets on the inside of their hearts. On the inside of their minds. And just like you and I, they want to go home to their family after a day's worth of work. So then there's times in which they find themselves acting out of those instincts. Wrong as they are, they're doing it. The inherent biases are making the decisions. He must be on drugs, is what the young man said on the camera. Could be he just didn't want to be arrested. Could be that he was really hurting in his stomach. Could be that he was really losing his breath. The man said, that's how they act when they on drugs. So that would justify you keeping your knee on his neck. You got him handcuffed. He can't go anywhere. The inherent biases began to kick in. Come on, think about it. Think about the last time you were in a pressurized situation. Did you sit there and think about how you were going to act? Or did you begin to act out of your instincts? Think about the last time somebody pressed a button and they challenged you. Did stuff start flying out of your mouth, had no business flying out? Have you ever raised your hand and hit somebody? You know you had no business doing it? Out of instincts. And our inherent biases dictate our instincts. That's why I'm always challenging you to put more word on the inside of you. David said, I have hid thy word in my heart that I might not sin against thee. Why is that important? Because as I hide that word on the inside of my heart, that word begins to change my inherent biases. That word begins to change my mindset, change my heart. Now I'm acting instinctively out of the word. No, I'm not going to say that. A harsh word stirs up wrath. A soft answer turns away that wrath. Be slow to speak. Slow to speak, quick to listen, quick to react. The word on the inside of us. So we got people acting out of instinct, acting out of their inherent biases. And you and I are not exempt. We look at people and we size them up. And we treat them accordingly. We look at people and we judge them and treat them accordingly. So then what do we do? How do we address the inherent biases that are on the inside of each and every one of us? There's a multitude of things that we can do. But I want to move a little bit further and not just address the inherent biases, but address the issues that are, the whole issue that's going on. Because as I begin to think about this situation more and more and more and more, if you go back to the 60s and the 70s, you can bring the 50s into that. They addressed these issues in a multitude of ways. It wasn't just Martin Luther King Jr. out there marching. But you had Dr. King marching. You had Malcolm speaking. You had Stokely Carmichael proclaiming black power and making us feel proud about who we are as black men and women. You had Thurgood Marshall fighting in the judicial system. You had the Black Panthers going back into impoverished neighborhoods and setting up programs that were aimed and geared just for us, helping us get job training, helping us put food on our tables. There were numerous different things that were going on. And I think it's going to take the same thing here for us to address the issue. For us to make the change that's necessary. So I jotted down a few things. I want you to see if you can roll with me here. Number one, protest. But protest peacefully. Protesting has its place. We've seen it work. We watched what Dr. King did in the 60s by leading the various different protest marches. It raised awareness. It put a human face on our suffering. When Bull allowed those dogs, not allowed, he set those dogs on those teenage children, those young adults who were just marching down the street and protesting. That put a human face on that. When those children got blew up in the church in Alabama, that put a human face to that. And people who were disconnected from the entire situation began to look at the situation and say, hold on. I mean, some people. Do we really have to treat them like this? So then they decided to come from the north with the Freedom Rise and begin to see if they could help make some changes. But it started with the marches. We can continue to march. But it can't be a violent march. And it can't be a temporary thing. Because we're trying to raise awareness. And what the news is waiting on is for us to stop after 3, 4, 5 days and life to go back to where it was. The policymakers are waiting for us to stop the protesting and for things to go back to where it was. But can we exercise civil disobedience? Can we continue to protest, but protest peacefully without the violence? Number 2, let your voice be heard. You have a voice. And you have a platform that previous generations did not have. And that platform is social media. You can jump onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatever your social media channel is, and you can speak your mind. You can bring awareness to the situation. You can articulate how you feel. You can type something. You can turn your camera on. And you can protest peacefully from your home. Express yourself. Let your voice be heard. Let people know. This is how that makes me feel. And here's the thing. As we begin to do that, people who don't look like us, think like us, and act like us will begin to hear our story. I heard a story the other day about a coach out in Minnesota, Coach Saunders, Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the youngest coaches in the league, raised in Minnesota, has a father, or had a father, so I apologize, had a father who was a great man, did great things in Minnesota. Basketball coach as well, was really a stalwart in that community. He says once the situation happened, him as a 30-year-old white guy really couldn't relate to what's going on. Really didn't understand the situation. So he sat down with his players and some of his coaches, and they began to talk about the situation. And the black men in that room began to share with him how they feel and some of the experiences that they've had. And now for that coach, it put a face on the situation. These are men he interacts with each and every day. And because of that interaction, he knows them. He has a relationship with them. He loves them. But there's certain things about their lives that are totally different. They utilized their platform to share with him what was going on. You have a platform, a social media platform. Express yourself. Share. Here's something else. Go vote. Our president, Donald Trump, says some troubling things this week. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. But from a leadership standpoint, I have no idea how that statement is bringing peace to the situation. It's bringing unity to the situation. Has any type of empathy or sympathy with the family or the people who are going through this stuff. So we're in the midst of a presidential election. If you like what he said, vote for him. If you don't like what he said, vote for somebody else. But here's the thing you can't do. Stay at home and not vote. Because our failure to vote could quite possibly be a vote for somebody that we don't want to be in there. We saw that with the last election. So there's a president, there's governors, there's mayors, there's senators. All of these people who are representatives of you and I. But do they really represent you and I? If you didn't vote, no. Get registered to vote. Go vote. When the primary gets here, go vote. In the general election, go vote. Stay home. Get registered. Go vote. Let your voice be heard. And if you are somebody with a type of mindset that can make a difference in the political arena, stop sitting on the sidelines. Go vote. And not only go vote, get involved. Run for an office. We need your voice. We need to hear from you. Yes, you've done good in the business world. Yes, you've done good in the church world, but we need to hear from you. Could it be for such a time as this that God has blessed you with all of that talent, for you to be used in a situation like this. Here goes another one. Get involved in your community. Get involved. Stop sitting around waiting on somebody else to do it. Stop talking about them, they, and the other people. But you get involved. Whether that be your school, some community center, whether that be in the political arena, whether that be through your church, whether that be you as a committee of one, get involved in your community. How can you make a difference in your neighborhood? Right there where you are, what can you do? Is there a teenager that you can grab and begin to mentor? Is there a program you can volunteer for that's going to make a difference in your community? What can you do as an individual to make a difference? Get involved. Don't sit back and wait for everybody else to do the work and then for you to reap the benefits. Get involved today. Get involved. For me, I'm a big proponent of getting into the schools and helping children read. That's my thing. So I'm on the mindset, let me grab some of them early. And here's the thing I learned with that. I went into the school system saying, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to some of our impoverished schools, some of our no child left behind schools, and I'm going to help them learn how to read. I'm going to make a difference. I'm grabbing at least 2 or 3 children. I'm going to make a difference. The first year I went, they sent me to Cornelius Elementary School. I like, it's one of the richest areas, not only the state, but the country. I mean, you sending me to Cornelius? I got to Cornelius. They gave me 2 little white boys. I started talking to them. And we started hanging out. And I'm teaching them how to read. And we're busy going through a little program that we're doing. And I'm reading the books to them. And I began to change my mindset. Because I started thinking, I'm probably one of the few black men that they know. And I don't know their parents. I don't know their upbringing. But if I can plant some good seeds into them, if I can show them that a black man is a cool dude too, that's more to us than just sports, that we are articulate and intelligent, that we want to help you as well, then it sows a good, positive bias on the inside of them. So now I became excited about going to interact with them, sharing my life with them, and them sharing their life with me. Why? Because I'm changing the narrative. Now they see a black man, they just see Mr. Wallace. Not some guy they never interacted with. We can make a difference one-on-one. We can change things. But you got to get involved to do it. It won't happen from your couch. It won't happen from the pew. You have to get involved. Next one. Build relationships. My mentor, Apostle John Lofton, has been talking to me the last year or so about the power of relationships. That's not about numbers. It's not about what you can do for me. But it's all about relationships. How we can learn from one another and grow with one another. How I can express my care for you. You can express your concern and your care for me. It's about relationship. And think about it. We're in a time in our history as a country to where we need more multicultural relationships. Not business relationships. I understand what I understand now. I understand the power behind that. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about relationships that allow you and somebody who does not look like you to build a bond and grow and purge one another of these inherent biases. I have a neighbor, a cool guy, old enough to be my dad. Cool guy. So one day, him and his wife are at my house, eating dinner. My dad and my stepmom are there. They're eating dinner. And as we're hanging out, I just asked her a general question. I say, how's your football team doing? What's your favorite football team? He said, well, I really don't have one. I said, oh. He said, no. Ever since they started doing that kneeling stuff, I just don't have one. I just don't cheer for them at all. I just don't think it's right that they're kneeling. He started talking about patriotic and patriotism. And that's going against the flag. And I listened to him. And I said, well, I'm a soldier. I was in the Army for 7 years. And from my perspective, that's the reason why we fight. So that you will have a reason and a right to exercise your First Amendment right. That you have the right to voice your opinion and share and communicate and express your displeasure with certain things. And then we began to talk and go back and forth, and we returned to eating dinner to more pleasant conversation. And a couple of days later, we're outside doing our yards, and we started talking again. He came and said, Herb, I hope I did not offend you. I said, no, man. It didn't offend me. I said, I love the conversation. Why? Because it put a face on what the media was saying. The media has been saying that a large part of the country is against this. And a large part of the country is for the kneeling. But now I get to meet somebody who doesn't look like me, who doesn't think like me, and their view is different. And you got to meet me, who don't look like you, and think like you, and act like you, and our views are different. We believe in the same God, and we believe in the same Jesus, and both of us have a passion for Jesus, but we looked at that situation differently. But because of our relationship, we got to humanize the issue. And we got to share our points of view about the issue. It all stemmed from a relationship. And I just want to encourage you on today. Build relationships with people who don't look like you or sound like you. Don't stick to your little tribal group. Don't stick to only black people. Don't go to work and only go to eat lunch with only black people. Don't go to school and only eat lunch with only black people. Right? venture out. And I guarantee you that when you begin to do that, that when you begin to do that, you will learn that people who don't look like you, act like you, and think like you have more in common with you than what you would think. That they want to have joy and peace. That they want to be loved and want to love. That they hurt just like you hurt. But we don't break down the inherent biases from a distance. We break down the inherent biases as we begin to connect with one another and build authentic, real, true relationships. Shout out to Core Church, because that's where I learned that. A multicultural church where we all got together and people began to come to me, the black man, and want to talk about their issue. You got the same stuff going on in your house that we got over here in our house. People are people. But we don't learn that until we begin to build healthy relationships, authentic relationships. Last one, pray. That's what we talked about last week. Paul was praying for the church at Ephesus. He understood his mission was racial reconciliation. You got Jews and Gentiles that have been brought together by the blood of Christ, but he was not naive. He knew that it would not be easy. Why? Inherent biases. Jews thought about Gentiles in a certain way. Gentiles thought about Jews in a certain way. They had these biases. In order for you to get rid of that, you had to break that stuff down. So he says, I'm praying that you will be strengthened with power in your inner man. I'm praying for that. Let's begin to pray for one another. Let's begin to pray for God to move into that situation. And he will begin to strengthen all of us in our inner man. And help us see each other the way we deserve to be seen. Help us see each other as the human, the creatures, the great people that God has created us to be. To look beyond our skin color. We look beyond our sex. Look beyond where we grew up from, where we grew up at. And begin to see us as the people God has created us to be. Let's start with prayer. Prayer changes things. And as we begin to pray, start praying for yourself. God, get rid of some of my inherent biases. Get rid of that negativity on the inside of me. Help me see people the way you have created them, Father God. And God, as I interact with my brother and my sister who don't look like me, help them see the me that you created me to be. Not what they've seen on TV. Not what they've seen on the news media. Not what they heard. Allow them to see me. Let's begin to pray. And some of you may be saying, oh man, that's all that pie in the sky stuff. I hear what you're saying, but it's really not going to work. I mean, we've been doing this for over 100 years. You know, we've been fighting for our rights and trying to stand up for ourselves for over, and nothing has changed. That's not true. Things have changed. Are they where we would want them to be? No. But things have changed. And we cannot give up now. There's still more work for you and I to do. There's still more hearts that need to be changed. There's still more minds that need to be changed. There's still more inherent biases that need to be rooted out of there. And we cannot give up now. We need to continue to preach that message of Dr. King, that we should judge each one by the content of our character and not the color of our skin. We need to continue to preach the message. We can't get to the 20-yard line and decide we're going to quit. Yes, the election of our president has raised back some scars that have revealed some ugly sores and wounds. And stuff that had been hidden for years is now being seen. We've come too far to stop now. We've come too far to quit. And we've come too far to change course and say we're going to turn to violence. I need you to get in the game. I need you to get involved. Make yourself a committee of one and begin to think, what can I do? If what I suggest is not something on your list, find your list. What can you do? Miss Yvonne, what can you do? Andre, what can you do? Danielle, what can you do? Omar, what can you do? Mike, what can you do? What can we do as individuals to make a difference? Change starts with us. Because we're protesting and we're doing all these things. But we can't wait for somebody else to do something. We can't wait for the powers that be to do something. Because guess what? You are the power that be. You have the power to make a difference. You can make a change. You can affect the world for good. It all starts with you. Let us pray.